Hello everyone, it's Oluwanifemi here again, and welcome to the Techpoint Africa Podcast, episode 201. Last week was so awesome, and if you missed it, you need to go and check it out because we recorded live here in the studio. There was cake, not in the best form, but there was cake, and there was wine, and then we had someone from the audience join us in the studio, and we had a lot of fun last week, and we didn't stop there. So today we are here back in your faces to give you the news out of Africa tech ecosystem. And with me in the studio today is
Bolu.
See how he's looking as if he forgot his name. What's your name?
He most likely
young
did.
man. Okay. Give us something to work with here.
What do you want to work with?
Your name?
Yeah, which of them you want to work with?
AKA or your government name?
Government name. I think you have to find my birth certificate.
The audience
Chef
are
T.
waiting.
Okay, no.
Oh, I will kick you.
Audience is
Chef
waiting right there.
Wait.
With me in the studio is
Chimgozirim.
Chigo.
Oh, please don't call me Chigo. You're not in love with me.
All right.
They play.
I'm
Oh,
just saying.
me. All right. Today it's mixed feelings, yeah, and we'll be discussing a lot of things. What is funny?
Let's be saying the truth on this podcast too.
Is it not? Okay. The feeling is constant, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll be
You have
discussing
mixed
a number of things today in the studio, and one of them is that actually deserves a pretty mention is the fact that Okada Books is shutting down, and it's sad to the creative economy, especially those that have been in the scene since the early 2010s, yeah, that, because Okada Books came into the scene in around 2013 to like help people to give a voice to their craft, like people that never thought they would become published authors were able to do so on Okada Books, and it actually gave birth to other publishing platforms that are online, and the reasons are like they call it insurmountable challenges, which we can pin on economic situation.
Yes.
Right, and we're wishing them the best, and hoping that someday it will come back up. And then there was this drama that rocked the global tech ecosystem between last week Friday and up till now. We are still reeling in it. And it came as a shock, right? OpenAI CEO has been sacked. It looked like joke, like from where to where? Sam Altman sacked. What happened? There were a lot of no information, as it were, even internally and outside. People that are within the company, they are not sure why he was laid off. So there were a lot of postulations around.
The board gave a reason for sacking him.
They gave. Then we found reasons to believe that those reasons are not even right. So they said okay, it took some steps, and it didn't properly communicate it, and they were like they don't think it's in the best position to lead the team anymore because of that. Then at some point we heard that the board said it decided to go and monetize prematurely. Like OpenAI's technology decided to monetize it prematurely, and this is the reason why we might not believe that, because should I even start from the top? So this thing started on Friday, November 17th, and we just said that he was sacked. Then 2 days later, immediately when he was sacked, the CTO Mira was told to come on. 2 days after he was sacked, they got another CEO. Interim CEO, the former CEO of Twitch, Emmet. Is it Emmet or Mnet?
Emmet, yeah.
Yes. While that one was happening, Satya, Microsoft CEO said, okay, Greg, the president of OpenAI too, said oh, is leaving because they
Because they
sacked
fired
Sam.
Sam.
So both of them had left by that time. And by that time, Microsoft said, okay, come and build our AI research team.
Yeah.
While that was going on, there was a coup going on within the system, within the company, and like almost 800 employees said, oh, if you did not bring back Sam, we are leaving. While that was also happening, some two major people on the board who are also co-founders that were in the board when the decision was made also said, oh, we regret that this happened, so we are joining the list of people that will leave. We will not bring back Sam.
Wow.
Yes, Ilya and one other guy like that. So all this drama is very difficult to keep up with, right? But they were happening, and by yesterday we're told that they've reached an agreement and Sam is coming back
Agreement
as the
in
CEO.
principle. Here we go.
So now, how did I get there? You were saying like the board said Sam prematurely decided to go and monetize the technology. But hear what this guy said, Emmett, when he was told that he should come in as the CEO. In one of his tweets, where did I keep it? Hold on. But I don't have the quote here. But in his tweet, he said that he wrote it as like PPS, like I've done my assignment, and there will definitely be a time when we monetize. That Sam was not let go because of I wish I can figure.
So I think what you're saying is they were trying to make it very clear that he wasn't let go for either it wasn't any improper conduct
Okay.
that led to his dismissal.
Okay.
But did he go ahead to monetize? There's an article on The Atlantic that kind of details. So these problems, he wasn't like booted out. They didn't just wake up one morning and tell him to leave.
Okay.
It's something that started just about when they launched ChatGPT.
Okay.
So apparently, not everybody on the team was on board with launching ChatGPT when it was launched.
Mm-hmm.
Some people wanted it to be delayed for a few more months. And then when ChatGPT was launched, it also put pressure on their not just on the team, but also on their on their technology capabilities. So for example, you remember there was a time when you could want to use ChatGPT and it would be down.
Yeah.
Yes.
They were not ready for that. That was one of the reasons why it was going down. So they were not ready for the demand. And they were also not ready for the kind of usage
ethical reasons
that they got. So it's not like, yes, the employees, a lot of them stood in solidarity with Sam, but it's not like the board was, they just woke up and took a decision without thinking about it. I think they didn't think it through, but obviously there have been factions in OpenAI for the last 1 year, and both factions have been, according to the Atlantic story, Sam referred to them as tribes. So they had like opposing views on the direction that ChatGPT should go and OpenAI as a whole. So it's not. It's probably surprising though that despite the fact that they were on both, there were two factions in the company. Most of them banded together to support Sam. Yes. My own comment on this is that the board, they didn't get any advice, which is why they folded in less than 24 hours. I don't think they got external advice, because if you're going to push someone out, I was reading one newsletter, and guys said this is like the fourth shortest coup in world history. I think the shortest is probably, is it one South American country? I can't remember. I think it's Bolivia, where the guy was kicked out and within 6 hours he was back. That's like one of the shortest coups. But it took Steve Jobs like 12 years before he came back to Apple. But this one, I don't think, they didn't think it through
before taking the decision at all.
Yeah, they also didn't have like backing of the people who would have made it difficult for Sam to return, which also could be because not too many people who left were displeased with him. If they were, because they have some really powerful people. Reid Hoffman was on the board until he had to. I think Sam had to pressure him to leave because he was running another AI company. There are a few powerful people on the who were
Board.
connected to OpenAI. If those guys were on board,
Was Satya one of them?
no. So that's also the thing. I think that's also why it was easy for
Them to
all
bring
of
him
this
back.
to bring him back, because Microsoft was reportedly told only a few minutes before the rest of us knew. So if
Yeah.
I'm one
Yes,
of your
so a
biggest
lot of people,
investors, and I
especially
don't
their
know,
advisors, probably didn't
Yeah.
know until the step was taken.
so
and
that's
that was
the
like-
issue. If they had planned it properly, you'd have been kicked out. You'd probably be in Microsoft now. So all the chat about him being so good, Steve Jobs was equally good,
Good
and he
one.
was bounced, and he didn't come back to the company until several years later. So I
Yeah.
just think maybe because they are scientists, maybe they probably don't have board experience. They've not done this a lot, so it's very easy for you to make that kind of a mistake, because someone who is more experienced would have found a way to kick him out and never bring him back again. That's just the truth.
Yeah, but I considered an angle for it in my newsletter, The Workaholic, earlier in the week, and I could only imagine the situation that the head of people was put in during all this. You have to be on the side of the management, then you have to be on the side of the employees.
Basically trying
So
to
I could
balance.
imagine what those days, how stressful it would be for her, the VP of people for
You should actually
OpenAI.
be saying a prayer for their com stream, because you go the right statement as you're done writing the statement.
Right, damage control and
bringing it.
Yeah,
and all.
redact as they are
But
redacting.
all this happened in less than a week, and it was such a drama, and we had to keep up with it. Well, that said, our stories for today, we're going to start with a company, with a startup that has been in the news often for either fundraising and for layoffs, but recently is becoming unbecoming, because this is like the third layoff in 15 months, in less than 2 years, and we are wondering why. Well, they gave us a reason, which do we believe it? Bolu,
Well,
please help us. What's the startup and what are they
I
up
think
to?
the thing is okay. So let me just give you the lowdown. So the name of the startup is Alerzo. It's an e-commerce startup a Nigerian e-commerce startup, but I think they are majorly based in Ibadan, Nigeria. So they recently laid off around 100 employees, and the reason they gave was warehouse automation. Yes. So, like you asked, do we believe this or do we not believe this? I've not been to any of their warehouses. I think they said they have about 42 of them or so, and this was the same reason they gave back in
2022,
there was a layoff back in September 2022.
like
and they
400.
said- yes, yeah. No, the one for September 2022, the figure was not clear.
disclosed.
Yeah, but it was the one for March this year that was 400, right?
400.
And they said, they've invested. I mean, the spokesperson for the company said, we've invested in and built end-to-end warehouse management system that has improved process automation. I mean, it sounds very interesting. But they'll have to, I don't know, maybe show us, like, let us see how is it that, within this
space of
yes,
time.
you've been able to automate in some. Are you using robots? What
Right.
exactly? Because it sounds a bit vague,
Mhm.
right? When you see, the kind of words they use. For example, they say enhance warehouse performance. Just that's all.
And this
Enhance
is not
warehouse
like a
performance.
manufacturing plant.
No, it's not.
These warehouses where you have to move goods, stack them, store them, and all taking inventory
Exactly.
and stuff like that.
Mm.
So, and some reports says that they have like 40 warehouses.
Mhm.
So I'm still trying to understand where the automation came from, that you were able to reduce your like a workforce of
By more
almost
than half.
of over 2,000
2,000.
between 2021 and now. You've reduced it to
Between 2022
2022 and now you've been able to reduce that
less than
less
700.
than half, and which means that not lesser than that are even full-time staff. So I think they need to. It's not as if we are coming at you and we are saying we're not to tell you that you are lying. We can always do an investigation and find out where warehouses are, and how automated are things there. So, but Alerzo, if you want to do like a warehouse store, you can reach out to Techpoint Africa. If you want to prove this point, we can always come and
I mean,
check
it would be very interesting.
Yes, it would.
to
It
see,
would.
yeah.
If any representative of Alerzo is listening to this, you can always call on us. We bring our production team. We'll capture what is going on there. It's what we would love to see.
Yeah.
So it might sound unbelievable, but seeing is believing, as it were.
Exactly.
And this is a project. This is a startup that was founded on the basis of not just doing e-commerce, but helping women entrepreneurs trying to get into that e-commerce space. So we would love to see what Alerzo is doing with
And I
their
think
warehouses.
Another reason why you might not want to, why I think maybe the whole automation thing might be a camouflage is because, I mean, we've seen what other e-commerce startups are facing, or e-commerce companies are facing, and we already know that e-commerce in Africa is like it's still difficult. It's still at that very difficult stage. But I mean, they are using the new everybody's now doing B2B e-commerce because we've seen what Jumia Ice is seeing.
Yes.
So it will make sense to still do. But I mean, it probably just means that even whether B2B or B2C, e-commerce in Africa will always be quite difficult.
Challenging.
Yeah.
So we're wishing Alerzo well, and I'm also wishing their head of HR well. Because I can imagine.
I wish the people that were laid off well.
Yeah, I wish them well, and I wish, because keeping employee morale at this particular moment, trying to tell people that, oh, your job is safe, without them thinking that am I next, and looking at the stability and also the company's image when they want to get new talent. I'm just wishing their HR department well, because we are doing, like, I'm covering the modern workplace vertical, so I always look at it from that lens. And I don't know why production is looking at me like that. So moving on, Chimgo's dream, is it Bolu that will tell us what happened with GetEquity CEO? It was in the news earlier this week.
Okay, I'll tell you some of what happened, and maybe Chimgo's dream will tell you the remaining. So, GetEquity's COO, Temitope Ekundayo, was detained by the police for 2 days in Lagos because funds were not paid. So if you don't know what GetEquity does, in simple terms, right, GetEquity is like that platform where they say they are democratizing investment, something like that. So you have a startup, list on GetEquity, people see your startup there, and then they can invest in you through GetEquity. So the story is that, okay, we raised money on GetEquity, and GetEquity has not paid us the money we raised. So the name of the company that raised on the platform is called Pepper. And, from the reports, they said they approached GetEquity to raise money. And after months of back and forth, okay, where's the money? This, that, they could not get the money. And then they decided to use brute force. Decided to use brute force using the police, right? Which I think is also something very interesting. I mean, something we already know that people do in Nigeria. Isn't necessarily legal.
Yes.
But it's something people do. So they arrested the CEO, put him in detention for 2 days. And, GetEquity also made comments. He said it was just an intimidation tactic, which I think worked, because from the reports, they said they've now paid everything. So GetEquity was like, the reason why we didn't pay was because of FX issues. So, I think that's the angle Chimgo's now comes in to help us understand, okay, how does GetEquity work, and why is FX issues affecting payouts?
I mean, why do I have to be the one to do that?
Yeah.
I mean, I heard you talk about it, and
earlier
it was
in the week,
pretty clear to me why they might have issues. Why the dollar going up and down might be an issue for them.
All right. So, what does GetEquity do? It's basically a marketplace, like Bolu explained. You have a company. I discovered you can also raise money for other businesses. But you have a business or a startup and you want to raise money, so you put it out there, and then people come there, they make the investments, and there's something called secondaries. So let's say I've already raised money, and I want more investors to come in. I could sell. So there could be some investors who also want to like sell their stake in the company. So they could sell that to other people. So someone else can buy that. So those are like the two major ways, or the two major ways they function. So currency fluctuations. So you know how Nigeria's FX like is it FX market has been now for the last 1 year.
Even
all of us are now trading dollar in this country. But
Nice.
for GetEquity, the explanation they gave is they have investors paying in different currencies, and then they settle the companies who are raising in USD. So between when the money comes in and when the money is paid out, the value can change.
Yeah.
So how does this affect them? Pepper's fundraise was completed in July, and this was just when the currency fluctuation became really bad. I think the Naira was floated in June, and then they finished their fundraise in July. Since then, we've gone from like 700 Naira for a dollar to about, I think as of yesterday, about 1,150 Naira, depending on who you're buying from. So that difference could be, it could get you into a little trouble. So someone gives you $20,000 today at the exchange rate. Let's say today, this morning it was 700 Naira, and you tell me I'm going to get. Okay, let me paint a different picture. So they were raising 43K. You won't get the money immediately. Some people would put today, and what we don't know is how long it took. So maybe some people invested when it was. Maybe they invested when the dollar was exchanging for maybe 400, 500, and then some people would probably pay in euros, pounds, all of that. But you're settling in
dollars.
So that difference, you don't have any guarantee that the Naira or that the other currencies are even going to be at the same level always. So it could always affect you. One question I'm now asking is, I believe GetEquity is very aware of this, that they can't control that.
Yes, market forces.
Do they give any assurance to their startups, or do they let them know that, okay, this money is probably going to be coming from different currencies, or we are settling you in only one, which means they should probably give some allowance.
So that was actually my thought, that I think what is missing here might be communication.
So maybe they didn't
that's to because anybody that does business, these are basic things they are aware of. But if you don't communicate to them as somebody handling their money, they're bound to be miscommunications or using brute force as they were, or trying to intimidate them. So I think what GetEquity can do with this is just to be plain with communication. Yes, some things you can just feel like these things are obvious, for crying out loud, but you don't know. It might not be really obvious. So I think GetEquity should just communicate.
I mean, even when it's obvious,
startups.
People may not really.
That's the thing.
They may not really know.
Especially when there's money involved.
They may not know about all of that. So I think one of the issues was they raised the money when they wanted to withdraw. GetEquity said we can't pay now, and proposed the 4-week payment plan, which
they agreed to, according to the report,
but which they couldn't
meet up with.
So it's possible that it wasn't because I don't know how many startups were raising at that period. So it's possible that if your other startups were having similar issues, which could have played a factor or played a role in their inability to repay when they said they would repay. So yes, that communication can help.
It's important. They
important,
really need
so
to work on it, and
you just having unnecessary issues.
Yes, these are like basic business challenges. I don't think it's something that should raise alarm until we see a trend. Except
there's a trend, there's like a pattern, then maybe it becomes
Yeah,
Boring
they
as
should.
Yeah.
hell.
Okay, so yes, a startup with a funny name.
Zazuu.
Is there?
Where are these guys in the studio with me today?
Sorry, I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, it's
What's
it's a
that?
Nigerian
From your mouth.
it's a Nigerian artist that led us to where we are today. So
Yeah.
yes,
Shout out
Artist.
Zazuu.
to
Okay.
what is he?
Artist.
He's an artist now.
Artist doesn't
Okay.
begin to describe the.
Okay.
He's a philosopher. On some days, he's a philosopher. On some days, he's a renegade. On some days, he's an ambassador.
Why is Onome looking at me like that?
All right, okay.
Of what?
Zazuu, a fintech.
What the hell is she saying?
Is it a
Yeah, it's a fintech.
fintech startup?
Yeah, fintech
shut
startup.
down for a reason that we are getting tired of hearing.
Yes.
Yes.
And what is that
Everybody-
reason?
Everybody
We're
keeps
not
saying they
able
are
to
shutting
raise
down
funds.
because you can't raise
But
funds.
then what makes we are not able to raise funds reason even more, I don't know, I don't want to use ridiculous. Please give me synonyms. What makes it
Outrageous.
even more I like outrageous.
Disturbing or
No.
confusing.
I like the outrageous.
Outrageous.
What makes it more outrageous on no verse. I know you people know English very well. So what makes it more outrageous for Zazuu is that they raised money just a year, right? I mean,
It's a playbook we are familiar with.
yes. I mean, it's not as if like you just raised money and you're saying, "Oh, we are shutting down because we could not raise money."
You could
So-
not raise-
I was okay. The news, yes. I don't know production. Before you give us one kind of eye, Zazuu is a Nigerian fintech startup that has shut down. After how much did they raise 1 year ago?
$2 million.
Was it two?
After
Oh my
raising
God.
$2 million less than a year ago, and the reason they gave was that they couldn't raise more funds. Now, I was venting last night, really venting to another startup founder, and it's disturbing when a startup gives that excuse without like you should hold yourself back from giving that. Just look for another excuse, because when you're invested in, fine, VCs want you to spend money on things that should move the company forward, the startup forward, and probably bring more funds and probably attract more funding. But you shouldn't burn through your funding. You should you should get to a stage where you are making revenue. You should have a product that can give you revenue, that at the point whether you've exhausted the funding money, the VC money, you should be able to run while you wait for another funding to come in.
Yeah.
And I'm getting tired of seeing this reason why startups shut down.
Jason Njoku said, I think he also, I've been referring to this thing a lot. He said something in his article, and he said something that seemed like a warning for founders. Like, once your burn rate is becoming, he said the thing is like addictive, right? You just start burning and you get so used to it. And I guess that's why people are blaming not being able to fund
To raise funds.
to why they are
That's-
shutting down.
I don't know if you said that's the reason. It's a case of okay. So I've heard a few people say one of the reasons we've heard these excuses is that a lot of founders were not aware of how long. Okay, so they kind of overestimated or underestimated how long it would take them to raise cash. So 2020, 2019, you could probably raise a $1 million seed round in under 6 months. Now it's taking as much as a year to even reach that
Amount.
those same figures. So if you entered 2023 with the mindset that okay, 3 months, you do this, and then you come and maybe you've heard of one founder like that was able to do it, you may also fall into the trap that okay, yes, I will raise money in a short period.
Objection.
Please object away.
So if you raised money and say you had a burn rate, you are burning it for valid reasons, and then say you got to like the 4th month and then you evaluate your books, get your books and look at it, what will be the next thing to show you when you project where you've gotten to and where you are going to, and look at the market situation? What should be the next step? You know what I think the problem is, right? Founders don't listen to their advisors.
What kind of advisors are you talking about?
So,
Did they even have advisors in the first place?
Okay, say some of their investors make it to their boards, and then they hire a finance executive, right? They hire somebody that will take care of HR. Those people, they are occupying advisory roles. But do founders listen to them? Because if you have a finance expert,
so you're assuming that the finance or whoever they are hiring. Okay, so here's the thing too. I don't know what in this case here. I don't know what the leadership team was composed of. Whether they had a finance guy who was like in charge of doing this.
mm-hmm.
But even where companies have had finance guys, we've also had issues like this happen. So this isn't me excusing them. The excuse that you were unable to raise is quite old, and I think people should start coming up with more creative reasons when they are shutting down.
It's a creative reason.
I mean, yes, you can't be using the same line always, but it's so the concerns are valid. That's basically what I'm saying. The concerns that people are using that excuse is valid, but let me play a little devil's advocate.
Okay.
But I'm not the devil.
The
Not
devil's
everybody
advocate.
knows. So, as I was saying before, I was really interrupted. Not every founder is aware of how long it will take, or they misproject how long it will take them to raise. So when you make that mistake, it's also funny, or it's possible for you to keep on hoping, being very optimistic that you're seeing that this thing will not work, but last, I don't know how it could be, but you go run and you're using that mindset. It's very, very possible. And it's probably one of what has happened for a few startups. They've probably been very, very optimistic. But another thing too is, yes, your burn rate has become high, and you've looked at it. You know that this isn't sustainable. We are probably going to run out of gas. The question now becomes, what do we do? The easiest thing to do at that point is to either cut some expenses that you are making, or fire some of your employees. And if you are being honest, firing anybody is difficult.
Of course.
When Leatherback shut down, one of the things that the CEO pointed out was he struggled to make that decision.
So it was better to shut down.
Not that it was better to shut down, but that he knew that at some point they had to let some people go to extend their runway. But that he struggled with that decision. For him, it makes perfect sense. He's very young, 21 or so. These are people who you've probably built relationships with.
Yeah.
Who, in fact, you know the impact of them being fired on their finances. So it's very normal that you would think about it. I'm also assuming that for other founders who have had to fire people, it wasn't a difficult decision to come to.
An easy decision.
An easy decision for them to come to. So it could also be you just postponing
the evil day.
And you know I'm supposed to do this, right? If I fire maybe 10 people, it might reduce the burden, the financial burden, but then you just continue hoping. So there's just a whole lot of reasons. But so for Zazuu, I think we've not even touched on the main reason why they probably failed. They were playing in the remittance market, and everybody talks about how difficult it is to send money to Africa, how expensive it is. It's true, but there are also a lot of players there. We have guys like Cash that have struggled in the last 1-2 years. We also have Lemonade Finance. We have Nala. Nala has been on sort of an expansion spree in the last 1 year. But we also have the bigger and more established players, World Remit, Western Union and the likes. If you're going to get into that market, you need to do a whole lot. Probably going to have to spend serious money on customer acquisition. But something that's interesting is a statement that the CEO made, I think last year.
Zazuu CEO?
Yeah, when he said their biggest challenge was explaining to customers what they were doing. If your biggest challenge is explaining to customers what you are doing,
Do you have a product?
you're probably not going to make it. That's the long and short of it. I don't know why that was the case. It could be any number of reasons. So it could also be because they started out as like a chatbot that told people what the daily FX rates were. So that marketplace idea it's kind of new. If you want to change if you want to send money, you just go to the guys you've been using, they do the work for you. So maybe that marketplace idea was difficult to sell to customers. At the time they shut down, we can't say if they succeeded in accurately communicating that value to customers. So maybe it played a role, or maybe by the time they succeeded, now all of this is just conjecture, maybe they succeeded and finally be able to communicate that, and then that was when they ran out of money. So it's a serious problem, which I think could also be the reason why other startups fail. Could also be the reason, because switching costs, people don't always consider switching costs. Why would I leave the person I'm already using to come to you?
Come on, use you.
So that could be the reason they
So I'd like to add that whatever conversations we bring up on this podcast, and it's not in any way to say or to throw jabs as startups that fail. We know that running startups is a very difficult task. Like you probably think you are crazy at some point as a startup founder, and we totally understand that. Let's just round up our conversation today by throwing one or two jabs at some of the players in the crypto space. Well, Binance CEO has admitted and pleaded guilty to anti-money laundering charges.
Yeah.
To
money laundering.
You see why I don't like talking about these people. Anyways, CZ, or that's what they call it. CZ.
Yes.
CZ. The name self off.
Ciao.
So
Ciao. Waiting.
I'm not even going to attempt it.
Ciao.
So yeah, they pleaded to money laundering charges, and how
paying
long
a
did
fine of $4.3 billion, and he will be spending about 18 months in federal prison. And now there's a new CEO. Basically, everything is going on smoothly, except that there was a huge withdrawal from the platform, which I don't think will be an issue in the long run, because I think the guy knew something like this could happen, and I don't know, it seems like a very smart guy, and seems like he prepared for a lot of outcomes that could have happened. So, yeah.
all of them will just be moving like frosters.
Yeah.
Anyways,
No.
Anyways,
Okay.
Patricia, that's always in the news, has also failed to fulfill its promise that it will start paying back people's money this week.
Yep.
Some of the investors are saying they've not yet gotten.
No, customers. All
rather.
of the customers that we heard from said they've not been paid, except one, which who was part of a beta testing they were doing. So that one's case is like kind of different from everyone else's, but everyone we spoke to said, I never see shishi.
I hope everyone gets closure at the end. Thank you for staying with us so long. If you've not yet subscribed to our newsletters, we have Techpoint Digest, we have The Workaholic, we have Equity Merchants, and we have FinTech Today.
Yep.
We are working on rebrands for all these newsletters, and you should definitely look out for them. We'll drop links in the description where you can actually subscribe to these newsletters. If you are we want to sincerely appreciate our audience, especially those people that joined us live last week. You actually gave us like that right amount of support we needed to do what we did last week, and we enjoyed it, and we hope you also did enjoy it. And if you want to, if you are one of our audio lovers, and or you want to introduce Techpoint Africa Podcast to other people that loves to listen to audio podcast, where can they find us, Bolu?
Yes, you can find us on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Hayat Radio, or anywhere else you get your podcast.
Chief Gozu, you need to find it in that you do, like at the end, for
Anything.
yes, like
Oh.
find a thing.
Don't worry, I'll put it
My
it through.
presence on this podcast is a
Go
thing
away,
already.
go
We'll
away. Thanks for joining us today. Don't forget to like. If you are watching us on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on the notification bell so you get notified every time we release a new episode of Techpoint Africa Podcast. If you are watching us on any other social media platform, don't forget to like and also share so that the reach can also get to other people. This encourages us and helps us to do better. Thank you for joining us once again today. I am Oluwani Femi and peace out.
Zazuu.